I want to talk to you about how to get a business license. And this is an important topic that a lot of small business owners care about. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. First of all, let's define what a business license is so everybody's clear what we're talking about. So business license is a broad term that refers to any kind of license or permit required to operate your business and provide your services in your location. So your location, it can be your state, it can be your county, it can be your municipality, whatever it is. So various types of business licenses are issued by federal, state, county, and municipal agencies. A business license's purpose may be to register your business with the government for tax purposes or to ensure you follow industry regulations. So the big question is, do you need a business license? Well, whether you are required to or get any type of license to run your business depends on where you live and where your business is based and what kind of goods and services you sell. And so most states do not require a general business license, also known as a business operating license, just to do business in that state. However, the thing is that you may still need a business license from your city or county. You may also need a license from a relevant state or a federal regulatory agency to perform certain business activities like agriculture or medicine. What you need to be aware of is that if you provide goods or services that revolve around federally sensitive processes, then you may need to have a license at the federal level. For example, if you're doing business with the military, or if you're doing anything that revolves around healthcare, then you may need you may need to expect regulations at the federal level, but also at the state level. If you run an online business, you register your business and obtain required licenses in the state and city where you base the business. If you are a digital nomad, speak with your lawyer and accountant about the best way to set up your business. Very important. So there are several types of business licenses. You can think about business operating license. You can think about a seller's permit. You can think about DBA or fictitious name statement. So DBA, doing business as. You may need special permits. You may need industry licenses, or you may need federal licenses. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy this very enriching conversation. Let's talk about. I want to really dig a little deeper here. It's really important to understand that when we talk about the business license, the cost really depends upon the sector you're in and your geography. So business license fees vary widely across states and industries, and depending on where your business operates and what kind of licensing you need, you could pay a fee in the area of $50 all the way to $200. And what we have seen in our research is that many businesses can operate without an operating license, so you may not have to pay anything at all. Really, so please, again, you want to consult your authorities, your state authorities, so you are clear about what kind of needs are there in your area. And so, is an LLC and a business license the same thing? No. When we talk about LLC, because some viewers have asked us questions, and so an LLC is a limited liability company. It is a type of business entity. It is a type of business structure that determines how your business is structured for legal and tax purposes. It is not a license. Okay. A business license, on the other hand, is a permit that allows your business to operate in your state or locality. And a business license may also refer to specialized licenses and permits that allow your business to perform certain services or operate in certain locations. So what I'm trying to say here is that you can, whether you are an LLC, an LLP, a C corporation, an S corporation, an LP, whatever, you may need a business license. Okay. But a business license cannot be an LLC. Business license cannot be an LLP. So this is very important. And when we talk about business licenses, I think, as I said before, you need to pay attention to the timing. Business licenses sometimes might need like a renewal every 2 years or every 3 years or every 5 years. It really depends upon the field you're in. It depends also on how sensitive the sector you're in. We know for having done research in the military sector for more than 20 years that when it comes to anything that revolves around federally sensitive activities, you need to renew your licenses every year. because the government wants to really make sure that you are dealing with you are following the regulations, the proper regulations. The thing is, when we talk about business licenses, the other question is that can you really run a business without registering that business? Well, it is totally possible, yes. But with certain exceptions, though. You can run a business as a sole proprietorship, just you, or a general partnership, you and one or more partners, instead of forming a business entity like an LLC or corporation. However, sole proprietorships and partnerships may still need to register DBAs and obtain business licenses from government agencies. So basically, DBAs doing business as. And so what types of business licenses are possible? The term business license can sometimes describe a general operating license, but it's often used to refer to several different types of permits. The most common types of business licenses include a business operating license, also known as a business license. So basically, let's say, for instance, if you are a CPA, you are a certified public accountant, you may need to have a CPA license from your state licensing authority. So this will be your CPA business license or your CPA business operating license. The same could be true for let's say a nurse. It can be an LPN, a licensed practical nurse, or a registered nurse for that matter. So number one, when we talk about the common types of business licenses, you have a business operating license. You also have a sales tax license, which allows businesses to sell goods and services. You can think about a liquor license, which is necessary if your business sells or distributes alcohol. And you also might need specialty licenses, such as for accounting. I just spoke about that. Massage therapy, plumbing, or legal counsel. So those are elements that you need to be aware of. Again, everything goes back to your geography, but also your specific sector. Okay. Now, do you need an EIN to run a business? No. First of all, what's an EIN? EIN is an employer identification number. You do not need an EIN to run a business. It is not mandatory to have an employee identification number or EIN to run a business. However, if you want to open a business bank account or hire employees, or even for certain business funding transactions, you might need to get an EIN. Okay. So because there are some lenders that ask for a business, like ask the companies to have an EIN. Let me give you the steps you need to follow here. How do you get a business license? First of all, you need to form your business entity. This is so important. This is the first step. I mean, I don't care what anybody tells you. You got to have a business. You got to have a business entity. So you'll need a business license in the name of your business. And so it's best to establish a business structure and business name before you apply for a business license. That way, you don't have to reapply or amend your business license later. So common legal structures for a small business include, so you have a sole proprietorship, general partnership, limited liability company, corporation, and non-profit corporation. So for a sole proprietorship, this is a one-owner business that's considered a sole proprietorship if you don't file paperwork to establish any other kind of business structure. And sole proprietorships are fully responsible for business debts and obligations, and they report business income as self-employment income on their tax return. If you are a sole proprietor, your own name is the official name of your business, though you may choose to use a DBA, such as Joe Jones DBA, Affordable Loan Care. You can do a lot of things. For a general partnership is similar to a sole proprietorship for tax purposes. So for liability purposes, partners divvy up liability, and personal assets are not separated from the business. General partnerships use the partner's last name as their official business name, and they may also have a DBA. What about an LLC? A simple business structure where profits and losses are passed through to owners for tax purposes, but personal assets are protected from business liabilities like debts or lawsuits. What about corporation? Like an LLC, a corporation protects personal assets from business liabilities. Corporations tend to have a more fixed operating structure and may be better than the LLC for attracting outside investors. And you also have a non-profit corporation. So this is a legal entity that's organized similar to a corporation, except profits cannot be distributed to owners. some nonprofits receive a tax exempt status. So if you establish an LLC, corporation, or nonprofit corporation, you will establish a name for your company when you file formation paperwork with your state. Depending on your state, you may be able to get a DBA from the state, or you may need to file your DBA with your local government. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about how to get a business license. So, step number 1, form your business entity. Step number 2, you need to apply for an employer identification number. So basically, this is an EIN. I was just speaking about it earlier. It's important to understand that when we talk about EIN, and now I really want to go a little deeper here. A lot of small business owners really underestimate the importance of an EIN. Depending on how your state processes business licenses, you may need to include your federal tax ID number on your business license application. And sole proprietors who don't have employees can use their social security numbers instead of a tax ID number, but all other businesses need a federal employee ID number instead of their social. And the thing here is that when we talk about, first of all, even if you're a sole proprietorship, you can still file for an EIN. Again, it's all about, when we talk about EIN, it's all about making sure that you are separating your personal affairs from your business affairs. Okay. Now, if you're not a sole proprietorship, let's say you are a corporation, you are an LLC, you are a nonprofit, you need to have an EIN. And the EIN is not just to open a bank account. No. As I said before, there are some lending transactions, some business loan, business line of credit, or business credit card transaction that are on an EIN only basis. In other words, the lender is okay that you use your EIN. Of course, your EIN, the number itself is not just the reason why the lender wants you to use it, but basically it means that there is something behind it. In other words, there is some revenue strategy, there is some financial profile behind it, and so you are able to enter into a lending transaction through your EIN. That's why you need to have your EIN. So your EIN is kind of similar to a social security number. It's basically a 9-digit number, so you can use it at a federal level, and usually there is just a slight variation that you can also adapt to the state level. So what I'm trying to say is, based on your EIN, your federal EIN, you basically might do some little tweaking to use the same number for your state. And so you get the EIN from the IRS. The third thing you need is to determine which licenses you need, which license or licenses. So again, we're speaking about how to get a business license. Step number 1, form your business entity. Step number 2, apply for an employer identification number. Step number 3, determine which licenses you need. Which types of business licenses you need depends on federal, state, and local requirements and what kinds of businesses you run. And again, it's not just about the businesses you run. It depends on the economic sector you are, and also the geography you cover. And so you can find out which licenses and permits you need through your state's Secretary of State office, Department of Revenue, or a similar agency that issues business licenses. Because the thing is that some states, it's just the Secretary of State office. In some states, it's the Department of Revenue. And in other states, there is an entire department that actually handles licenses. Okay. And you also can determine which licenses and permits you need through resources available through your local Small Business Administration office. The SBA has a great platform, or a great electronic resource that tells you like what kind of licenses you need. Okay. And you can also find which licenses and permits you need through working with a business lawyer to determine and file the necessary licenses and paperwork. And what we have found in our research also is that all the LLC formation services, at least most of them, 80% of them, from Zen Business to Inc. File, to Inc. Authority, to Northwest Register Agent, to LegalZoom, they actually can help you also get a business license. So, if you do not have time, or you do not want to spend time on anything, you can just outsource the whole operation to them. One thing I want to say here is that, again, I want to talk about the fact that when we talk about business licenses, you need to understand if your LLC or your corporation operates in multiple states, then you might need to acquire multiple business licenses, because the business license actually is valid based on the state. Okay, and if it's a state license, but if it's a federal license, then it's actually available. It's actually valid everywhere. Step number 4, you need to apply for a business license. So basically, you may have to file for licenses and permits with state, county, and municipal agencies. For example, a sales tax permit from the state, health permits through a Department of Health, and planning permits through the city. So you want to look for resources from your state or your local SBA office to gather all the information you need in one place, so you don't have to spend hours researching every relevant agency. And step-by-step guides in your state could actually walk you through the process and include links to necessary applications on various websites. And what we have seen in our research here is that in most states and many localities, you may get a general business license online through the proper agency's website. And industry-specific licenses may have a more complicated application process, and so you likely won't have to wait long for a business operating license or a sales tax permit to be approved. And other types of licenses and permits may have a longer and more involved review process. Again, everything depends on the industry you're in. And the last step that you need to actually follow through here is you need to renew your business license. So talk with your lawyer or pay attention to the fine prints on your business license and permits to figure out how often you have to apply or pay to renew them. You may have to renew annually or every 5 years, for example. Again, everything depends on the sector you're in. As I said earlier, if you are in a specific field, like let's say, anytime you deal with the federal government, especially if you are in quote unquote sensitive industries, you may have to renew your business license as often as 1 year. Okay. And there are some licenses where you have to renew things like every six months, for example. You know, when it comes to anything that revolves around the nuclear industry, for example, which is a very sensitive industry here in this country, then the federal government wants to make sure that you actually are legit. I mean, I'm not even talking about the military clearance and all the security clearance you have to go through, but I'm just here talking about the business licenses, and those are really critical. And the federal government pays attention to make sure that all licensees are compliant with the law. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was just talking to you about how to get a business license, and I gave you the overview and explained to you what a business license is. And I actually gave you the steps: form a business entity, apply for an EIN, determine which licenses you need, apply for a business license, and renew your business license. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.